Sometimes I just sit and I wonder what I would do. I wonder what I would do if I were the table. Well, I did this for Megadeth. Feels only right to do for Metallica. Since I did my favorite songs from Metallica recently, I will do my favorite songs from Megadeth as well. The thrash yin and yang. I will only be doing studio albums. No live ones, no collabs. Conveniently, there's only 10 of them. So here is my personal top 10 Metallica albums. And here we go. Look, I get putting Saint Anger at the bottom is the low-hanging fruit. But frankly, darling, I don't give a damn. It has its good moments here and there, some solid riffs, but it sounds like hot garbage. From the mix, to the guitar tones, to the vocal stylings, and the inspiration for the Houston Astros scandal. Favorite song from this album is Frantic. It's a solid song I do listen to on the regular. Such an odd eyeliner-filled odd time from Metallica. The follow-up to Load. I actually really do like some tracks on this album. I enjoy the more bluesy rock metal vibes to it, but it's not Metallica. This album is part of the reason why you find Metallica in the classic rock section and not the metal section when you go to Rasputin. Overall, it's just a little dull, and it doesn't get fully listened to very often. The Memory Remains is the Exemption, as it's on my top 10 favorite Metallica songs, and it's the favorite of the album for me. It really was a toss-up of these completely connected albums. What it came down to was there's more songs on Load than I like than Reload. Notes from that one are the same, including notes from my favorite song on this album, Outlaw Torn. Top 10 list, one of my favorite songs. Some people are going to be pissed, but again, I don't care. This is my list. This album is a classic, and I do love it. You ask many Metallica fans of what their bottom 3 albums are, and it's going to be a mismatch of what I put. Save for the people who are completely entitled to their own opinion. But when you start getting to the top 7 albums, it really is just a toss-up, and mainly depends on what kind of mood you're in. It's a thrash classic, but it must stain some of your britches to see it this low. I hold the tops for the albums they completely wrote themselves, for the most part. No Remorse is my favorite song on this album, just like I have no remorse for putting it here. Their most recent release, Fall's the Original. This album was on repeat for quite some time when I first got it, but over the years it's lost a bit of its staying power. It's what dropped it to here, and I was going back and forth between which to put here between it and Death Magnetic. It has some instant classic songs, including my favorite song of this album, Spit Out the Bone, but it has an equal amount of songs that I mostly skip. Most of this album sounds more like experiments and tributes, which is perfectly fine. They do sound good, but they're just kind of meh. But the great songs here hold it up. The self-titled album, or as it's more affectionately known as, the Black Album. A ton of old school fans hate this album, and I absolutely understand why, and I absolutely could not disagree with them more. It sold a bajillion records for a reason, and it's badass top to bottom. Does it use the open E too much? Yes. Does it go too slow to be considered thrash? Yes. Does any of that matter? No! Enter Sandman is my favorite song on here. Is it an easy pick? Yes, but once again, I don't care. Again, I was really going back and forth between this and Hardwired. While there are songs on Hardwired I like more than the entirety of this album, again, Spit Out the Bone is just mwah. Overall, from start to finish, I prefer this one. I rarely skip any of the songs. After Saint Anger, this album really was a breath of fresh air. It came out towards the end of my high school years, and me and a couple friends really bonded over this album. I made some great friends just listening to this album over and over again. The riffs for The Day That Never Comes actually still is a mainstay in my warm-up sessions. But my favorite song on this album is All Nightmare Long. It Has No Mercy. Top 3 for me, once again, was not easy. I'm a guitar player, and Justice is by far the most guitar-driven of the top 3. I almost put it at 2, but it's lacking something. And that something is obviously the influence of Cliff. It really misses him, and it's felt throughout. Imagine how this album would have been if he was still alive. And I'm not talking about those YouTube channels where people, put inspired riffs into the song saying, hey, this is what this song would sound like if Cliff wrote it. I really don't think any of these songs probably would have been on here if Cliff was around. Except probably Blackened. That song feels kind of Cliffy. Still though, this album is amazing. I absolutely love it to death. The Frayed Ends of Sanity almost topped my top 10 Metallica list. The record is aggressive, fast, and spawned one of, if not the greatest live recording of a concert ever. But Justice lands at number 3. One of, and a lot of people would consider this the greatest thrash album of all time. It is metal perfection, but perfection doesn't always make you number 1. Just ask Cell. Back in my band days, Orion and Master of Puppets were mainstays in my band's rehearsals, and Master of Puppets was a mainstay in our show. We actually played that song a lot better than pretty much everything else we played. It's one of the most fun songs I ever played on guitar. If you are learning how to play guitar, you want to build endurance, you want to challenge yourself, learn Master of Puppets. It will greatly enhance your skills. My favorite song on this album is also one of my top 10 Metallica songs, and it was almost number 1, Disposable Heroes. This album easily could have been number 1. However, number 1 goes to their sophomore album, Ride the Lightning. This album to me is absolute perfection. It is the one that showed what they're really made of and laid the groundwork to what they would become. And that is, frankly, one of the, if not the greatest band of all time. For me, it's still Led Zeppelin. From start to finish, it's pure love. I only wish I was alive to see them live during this time. Thankfully, I was able to go see them live at the Big 4 show in Indio. Obviously, it's not comparable, them then to them now, but it's better than nothing. Favorite song on this album is my favorite song from Metallica of all time, Creeping Death. So, go ahead, tell me how I'm wrong. I know Metallica has one of the most die-hard fan bases, and they will defend them to the death. I am a massive fan, but I'm also able to be impartial. Megadeth's better. Excuse me. Down below, list what your favorite Metallica albums are. I'd love to see them. And be civil. Click up here to check out my review of Abyss from Unleash the Archers. Spoiler, it's amazing. Click up here to check out a video YouTube picked out just for you. If you'd be so kind, click right here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Ring that bell to be notified of my future videos. This is Fenrock signing off, reminding you to have your pets spayed or neutered. Megadeth's better.